Welcome to the Go Big and Go Home show. My name's Dustin Hill, and I'm here to help you discover and stick to your dreams while deepening the connections with those you love. Hey, it's Dustin Hill with the Go Big and Go Home show. I'm super excited to have you here and be able to talk to you today. Today I really want to dive into, a couple stories. And they all relate to loving yourself, right? And so first, though, it's a story about Luka. So Luka, he's someone that I met in Croatia. So I spent a couple years in Croatia. I was a service missionary there, so I was able to, help teach English, to help people just in other ways, and to also help people learn about Jesus Christ, about those that were interested and willing to learn, that we were able to help them. And so, I remember I was out in Zagreb. So Zagreb's the main city or the capital. So main's like kind of the direct translation. So that's what always comes to mind. And so Zagreb, and by the way, in Croatia, there's a lot of Z's. So I lived in Zaprešić and Zagreb and Zadar. And so there's a lot of Z's in there. But so I was up there in the main city, in the capital. So just the building that we met in, it was just an apartment building, it was an apartment within this building. And so it's this old building, probably a couple thousand years old, really dark gray. I remember some kind of gargoyle-ish things. I don't think it was actually gargoyles, but you can see like the sculptings there on the walls. And it was right across the street from this awesome park. There's these huge oak trees there, a lot of shade, a lot of grass. And so it's a really beautiful place in town. And, I remember there's the park, and then there's this crosswalk, right? And so I remember that we were going across this crosswalk to the building that we were going to. And I remember that there was this guy just standing on the other side of the crosswalk. And so my buddy and I, as we're getting, closer to him, we noticed that, it was his appearance. So he's got this black beanie on. His hair is a little bit long. He hasn't shaved in a while, it looks like. His, clothes are a little scraggly, and it seemed like he's probably homeless. And so we go and say hi to him, and it turns out this guy's name is Luka, which, I love that name. And, I've talked to Amy like, oh, if our next one's a boy, we gotta do Luka. So we'll see if I win that one. But anyway, so Luka, he was a really interesting guy, and he was in a really interesting situation. So his mom actually gave him her apartment. So, she'd actually owned this, which is pretty amazing. Not everyone owned their stuff there. And so he had this really awesome place to live. And for him, he was pretty young. I think he was about 22 when we met him. But he'd been in that apartment for a little bit. And it was just one of those stories, kind of like the prodigal son, from the Bible, that he was kind of just frivolous. He's like, oh man, like I have this awesome setup and this great thing. And so he kind of just was like very careless about all of that stuff. And it turns out that he loses his apartment. And so that's why he's on the street now. And his mom had also passed away. And it was really just like a very dark time and a hard thing for him. And so I remember we were teaching him, and he was interested in learning about Jesus Christ. And so we were teaching him about that and helping him learn more about it. And as we did, it became really clear that he connected with this a lot, that he really was starting to see that, wow, God is there and that he could help him, and so we started, helping him with, learning some basic concepts about God and those types of things. But, it became pretty clear after a little bit that he wasn't continuing to learn, that he wasn't continuing to go because he had some distractions, and rightly so. He was worrying about food. He's worrying about where he's going to sleep. And so it was really hard for him to focus on something else, right? He didn't have that foundation to really think past today, right? Like it was so hard. And so we realized that, we had to help him in that way. So we did what we could to kind of get him hooked up to, a place to rent or, a place to live for a little bit and things like that, and see what we could do, but the reason I bring that up is because I want us to all understand that we have to have, our foundation, right? And I hope that all of you are in a spot where you feel like you have a place to live, that you have food, each day. And that's something I really try to remind my kids all the time, that, especially when they're like not wanting to eat. I'm like, you guys, some people don't even have like food each day, or they don't have a lot of food. Like, we're so blessed, and really, like, we all should just, take a minute and look at what we have, because I bet it's a lot more than a lot of other people in the world. So, be grateful for what you have. But I hope you're in a good spot like that. But what I really want you to do though, is to think about this, but also more on a personal level. So not so much about the temporal things, the things that are all around us, the physical things that we have, but to really think about how does this apply to me and with love specifically. So I remember I was going through the EDGE program from Tony Robbins, and he talked about how love is a basic need. Much like having shelter, we all need that that feeling of love. And so what happens though, and this is something that I really struggled with until I heard this, is that we, a lot of times are relying on other people to love us, that we think, oh, okay, my lover or my kids or my parents or whatever, that we're kind of thinking that, oh, we need other people to love us. Right. And it is such a blessing that we have people that do love us, but the thing that he pointed out is that much like, Luca and needing to have those basic needs, is that you need to truly love yourself, right? You need to love yourself because that's like having that shelter. It's like having a shelter over your head. So then you can now worry about other things. Now you can say, okay, look, I'm good, this for me was a huge eye opener, because I looked at that in the moment when I heard this, and I was like, have I been doing that? And I thought back to all of the experiences that I had where I had so many ups and downs, and it was like, oh, something happened at home or at work, and I felt like someone didn't love me or didn't care about me. And so it was really hard, and I got into this really like kind of depressed state, and it sometimes was really hard to come back out, right? And then I realized that I wasn't truly loving myself. And so when I realized that, then I started to see that, what? I really do need to love myself, because it will allow me to get through these hard times. When something happens, I won't be so reliant on what others do, that no matter what, I can get past it because I do love myself and I can take care of that. And so that's been a huge, eye opener for me. And so one of the first things that I would say that you should do in that way is just make sure that you are giving yourself time. And maybe that's time to work out. Maybe that's time to, work on, your dreams and on your business. That's what I'm all about, is really helping you pursue those dreams. But as I thought through this too, I was just thinking, okay, what do I need to do to help you, pursue your dreams? Maybe you do want to start a business on the side, but you're just like, I don't know if I have time, or, if I should do that. Like, I have my kids, I need to focus on them. And yes, you do. But at the same time, are you truly loving yourself? And do you really care about yourself? Because if you do, then you will pursue the things that you love, because you know that it's going to help you help them, right? It'll help you to then be able to be strong in those hard times. And no matter what, you'll love yourself and do that. And so that's where, for me, how it really started is I started to be more diligent about working out. And so I'd have this morning routine that I started where, 15 minutes even of just like, get up, get outside, go walk, right? Go walk and go, think about all the things I'm grateful for. Think about, I believe in God, so I'm grateful for him. I'm grateful for my family, grateful for, work and all these things that I have, and really just being grateful. And then I'd move into kind of visualizing, what do I want, right? What are the things that I want to focus on so that I can push towards those things? And the last thing was more about like affirmations about, yes, like I love myself. I'm strong and, whatever. And so I came up with these things, and I don't remember exactly what I had done, but I started to do that, and I started to feel a huge change. Like I started to see that, okay, yeah, like I can truly, take care of myself and love myself. And so that's what I just wanted to, bring up today, is just to help you see that you really do need to take care of yourself and be strong yourself. I do want to help you with, pursuing your dreams. And if it's a business related thing, I'd love to help you even more. And with your family too, and making sure that you're, really pursuing that in the right way as well. But, you really, one of the first things you have to do is you have to be able to truly love yourself. And that really will make such a difference for you. And so, back to Luca, in the end, we, couldn't really help him that much, that he ended up just having to, kind of move on. And I don't know exactly. I think he started to, we were trying to hook him up with like a job. We're like, man, if we could help you get a job, like that would really help you out. And, I'm not exactly sure. I think after that, he kind of, he lost contact with him. But, that's the thing, that I want for you is to make sure that you don't lose sight of that you make yourself a priority, that it is really important to take care of yourself. And just one last thing, kind of analogy with that is the face masks with, there's obviously a lot of face masks right now, but the oxygen masks on an airplane is that, on an airplane, they always say, hey, okay, if something happens, we're going to drop these, oxygen masks, and make sure you help yourself before you help others. And it's always typically, the mom, helping the daughter afterwards. But, at first I always just felt like, I don't want to do that. I just don't think that's, I just want to give my kids first. But, think about how if I actually help myself first, even if, let's say, they pass out, nothing bad is happening, but I can lift them up, I can carry them off the plane, where if it's the other way around, it's not going to be so good. They're going to be super stressed, and maybe I get off the plane, hopefully, but it's just it's a lot, crazier. And so I just want you to know that really taking care of yourself is super important. And so I encourage you to do that and to figure out those things, that you want to do and that you should do, so that you can make sure that you are truly loving yourself. So thanks again for listening. Super good to have you on here. And I hope that this helps you to go big and go home. Hey, it's Dustin, and I hope you got a lot of value out of this episode. And I also hope that you're already subscribed. If not, what are you waiting for? Go subscribe, rate, and review. That'll make sure that you get this content as soon as it comes out. And also make sure to share with your friends and family so that they can go big and go home just like you.